Hello everyone, this is Critic giving you Game 1 in a best of 5 series between Roz and RiseN here on Lost Temple. RiseN spawned as the green Protoss player over here at the 8 o'clock position. Meanwhile, we have Roz spawning over here at the 6 o'clock position as the blue Protoss player. So this will be a Protoss mirror match once again on Lost Temple. I am excited to cast this best of 5 series. Now I need to make sure that I am not available so people do not randomly interrupt me and send me messages. So Roz spawning over here, gonna throw up the production tab and see how exactly these particular build orders are going to differ. In a Protoss versus Protoss mirror match, both sides normally really like to go for a 4-gate. However, RiseN a little bit behind on that pylon, so we'll see if that's going to affect anything. Just about a second or two, not too much of a difference there, but however, I could be wrong. We now see Roz moving out with this one probe. So this probe now moving out will be scouting in the counterclockwise direction, will not be able to found RiseN in just some time. So RiseN over here will be able to get a little bit of an economic advantage since he is not scouting out oh so early. Now RiseN may try to throw down one gateway here. This pylon placement is a little bit interesting in that it doesn't really protect the front door here, but he is going to start building the gateways in this position here in order to get these units to be able to get out this ramp very, very quickly. Now once again we see Roz activating the Xel'Naga Watchtower one more time just to see if there's any incoming units, and now we see RiseN moving out. Will he activate the Xel'Naga Watchtower? He is going to activate the Xel'Naga Watchtower and see Roz. So with Roz there, it's a little curious as to how Roz is going to be able to find him. No, Roz looking in the wrong direction as RiseN now throws down a second gateway. So RiseN now with a 2-gate build, it looks as though yes, we are going to see an assimilator come in from Roz. So it's going to be a 2-gate versus a 1-gate with the cybernetics core. Now the difference between these two strategies, a 2-gate and a 1-gate with the cybernetics core, is the number of units you can produce early on. With the 2-gate, you can obviously train up more zealots very, very easily. And because you are not mining gas and because you did not spend the extra minerals on that assimilator, you will have a much larger army in the beginning. However, you will be behind technologically speaking because you do not have that cybernetics core, the all-important key and crux to the Protoss army. So you will not be able to go into any tier 2 and you will not be able to train any tier 1.5 units. So we'll see how this works out, as now there is one probe sitting here acting as a scout, and he knows that RiseN is chrono boosting zealots out of this position and finally throwing down an assimilator here. Taking a look at the harvester count, you see 17 harvesters for RiseN. Meanwhile, Roz has 19, so there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. However, you can see that RiseN still has an economic advantage just because he is not mining gas. Gonna go ahead and throw up the production tab once again, as now one probe and a zealot now going to make their way up this ramp. There should be a chrono boosted zealot now coming out. We are chrono boosting, getting that warp gate research, which really cuts down the time, and a second zealot already coming out. So 2 zealots against 1. RiseN cannot engage at this time. He needs more of his friends to show up. So a second zealot will be coming out and joining in on this fight in just a moment. However, Roz on the other hand will be able to get more and more zealots as well. So we are going to have 3 zealots and 1 probe versus Roz, who's going to have 3 zealots and be able to continue to train up more and more units. So we should probably see a sentry as well. A sentry would be a very strong choice at this stage. Roz would be able to force field his own ramp and then prevent any escape from the incoming army. So we do see 3 zealots here. RiseN trying to engage the front door, figure out what exactly is happening. So RiseN has units to the north and over here as well. Will he be able to put enough pressure as more and more units are being trained? We now see 1 zealot returning back, so RiseN may not be trying to overcommit into this very early fight, as now we have a robotics facility. That robotics facility finally revealing 2 zealots over here. So now 1 zealot trying to pull back here as zealots make a way for the mineral line. The mineral line, will we get any probe destruction here? So Roz now may lose a couple of these probes. No, more zealots now coming into this position here. So RiseN now being forced to pull back. Need to turn off the hit points because too many in there. So now these zealots are trying to pull away, and now this 1 zealot very low on hit points may be able to barely escape. Yeah, 1 zealot now stopping, getting in the way, so getting a little bit of a buffer, and this 1 zealot from RiseN will be able to pull back. However, you can now see that RiseN is definitely behind. He does not yet have that cybernetics core finished being researched, while Roz does. However, he does not have any gateways. So because Roz does not have any gateways, he will not be able to benefit from the increased production time off of that warp gate. But Zealots now making their way across the map, now activating this Xel'Naga Watchtower. So Roz, with one probe here, should be able to throw down a pylon or place a pylon and warp it in here. However, Stalkers and Zealots now going to go ahead and engage here. Zealots now attacking in that front position. Stalkers trying to engage. One Zealot going to be lost on both sides. No, Roz with very, very nice micro, able to save a low hit point Zealot there. So that Zealot will be able to recharge those shields very, very naturally and essentially get back up to 62 hit points in just a second. So waiting for Roz to place and build a pylon by the Xel'Naga Watchtower and then do this rush. However, he is not yet quite doing that. We do see that we have a robotics facility coming in from Roz with that Immortal. However, we now see the robotics bay coming in from Roz as well. So it's going to be Immortals into a Colossus. Meanwhile, Immortals now being trained up by RiseN. So RiseN now with those with that Immortal training will be able to deal a lot of damage as well. And now RiseN also going for a Colossus build as well. So both sides pretty much going for the same tech, but they're opening it up at different times. So taking a look, we do see one Colossus now being trained, two Zealots also being warped in as well. You can see that warp in only takes 5 seconds to essentially train a unit as this Colossus now being chrono boosted. So a chrono boosted Colossus, I believe, can be built in what, 50 units of time? I'm not 100% sure. I can do the math for you sometime later. Back over here, we do see some Stalkers now moving out in order to try to gain some sight. Quickly activating that Xel'Naga Watchtower. These Stalkers are going to more move out and try to see if there's an expansion in this corner. However, these Stalkers may get taken down if he's not careful. RiseN, however, not overcommitting his Stalkers, just moving down into this position, making sure that there is no expansion. If there was an expansion, he would most likely have to throw an expansion down of his own or place and build an expansion of his own in order to keep up in this game. So these Stalkers now moving back over here, perhaps going to take down this one and scouting probe, this probe activating this Xel'Naga Watchtower, trying to hide. Nope, he's gonna get shot in the back, and there he goes. Back over here, we now see some Colossus in this position. One Colossus, now another Observer being trained. So this one Colossus, a very expensive unit, considering that it took one robotics bay and only has one Colossus so far. So this is one of those instances where this first Colossus costs 500 minerals. He really needs to start capitalizing on additional Colossi. Otherwise, he may fall farther and farther behind. However, RiseN also doing the same exact thing, getting one Colossus as well. So one Colossus versus one Colossus, army-wise unit combination, pretty much the same. 9 Zealots versus 10 Zealots, 1 Colossus versus 1, 5 Stalkers versus 3, and then there's a Sentry also joining in that mix as well. So one Stalker here, RiseN most likely gonna lose. Oh, able to sneak away with that Stalker. So Stalker trying to run away from these units over here as Roz now activating this Xel'Naga Watchtower to gain sight. Roz also does have a sneaky little Observer now flying out in order to gain sight. We should probably see an Observer come in from over here as well. Yes, production now getting that Observer as well. So this one Observer wants to try to gain sight without overcommitting himself and taking damage. And now in comes this fight, very, very even on both sides. Zealots unable to engage because of this force field. So very nicely done. So Roz able to maximize the DPS. However, as this fight continues, there's too many Stalkers and too many Immortals. And now these Roz's units now continuing to push. However, Roz does not have a proxy pylon over here. He had a probe in this position for quite some time. However, since he did not throw down or build a proxy pylon, he will not be able to warp in reinforcements. And now RiseN able to continue to push back. Stalkers now engaging. Stalkers moving faster than those Colossus. So even though those Stalkers have to move and then stop in order to fire, that Colossus still getting within range, down to 5 hit points, and there it goes. So down goes one Colossus, and that's gonna really hurt Roz, as Roz does not even have one Colossus to his name now, and now continuing to research that extended thermal lance range. I think that was just a mistake, trying to train up only one Colossus, and that Colossus was expensive. Now getting the extended thermal lance range when he doesn't even have one Colossus, and yeah, that's gonna be GG. Just wasting his minerals and resources. In a Protoss mirror match, you have to be very careful here, as this Colossus now trying to deal more and more damage. Zealot's gonna get taken down here. One Immortal and one Colossus will be able to finish off these units here, as this expansion will get taken down. So down it goes, and now you can see that Immortal trying to start attacking that Colossus. Colossus down to 37 hit points there. We do see some Zealots now engaging. However, Roz is behind, economically speaking, as RiseN now has his expansion. Taking a look at the Harvester count, RiseN with 38 Harvesters, meanwhile Roz has 32. So economic advantage is RiseN's. Meanwhile, Roz also is losing in the army fight. So economic advantage check. army size check, as long as he has proper positioning and is able to engage. If he actually activated these Onaga watchtowers and perhaps taken, the other observer was already taken down. So if he actually had a map control, I would say that this game was already RiseN's. You can see that Roz is now trying to get back in this game. He knows that he needs to get this mineral field fully saturated as the main base is starting to be mined out. You can already see 345 minerals left in these patches over here, and at full saturations, these minerals will not be able to stay here quite that long. However, RiseN deciding not to engage and wants to clear out these destructible rocks instead. So he will try to perhaps expand into this gold mineral location over here, and with that gold mineral location, it does mine as quickly as a normal 8 starting mineral patch, a blue mineral patch. It just takes less probes in order to fully saturate it. As these units now move out, actually it's approximately the same. I can't say for sure it's 100% the same, but I do know that it takes less probes to fully saturate it because there's only 6 mineral patches here as opposed to 8 here. Now, we once again see RiseN moving out with this army. Stalkers and Immortals. We now see also 1 observer there. I do not see any blink research, so that extended thermal lance range will allow Roz to quickly take down this one pylon here. No, there is no extended thermal lance range, just going for mass numbers instead. But the extended thermal lance range needing another 15 game seconds, and that will be completed. Also training 2 Colossi. So 2 Colossi being trained up. Where is that second robotics bay? Yes, a second robotics facility, double training this very, very heavy, very, very high damage Colossi units as these units now move out. So it's going to be a combination of Zealots and Stalkers as this fight continues. Force field now moving these units around. RiseN now trying to maximize the damage on these Colossi. One Colossus being very careful to pull back as these Immortals try to get within range. However, those Immortals taking so much damage by these extended thermal lance range on these units, and now RiseN will definitely take this game. 4 Colossus with a couple of Stalkers will be able to finish this off. So Roz does say the GG. So RiseN taking game 1 in this mirror match, Protoss mirror match here on Lost Temple. RiseN opened up with a 2-gate compared to Roz's 1-gate with a cybernetics core. But ultimately, it was RiseN's change into a faster tech, double training Colossi off of 2 robotics facilities, using both of these, all 4 of these assimilators, and then with that additional Colossus was able to deal critical damage and destroy Roz's army before Roz was able to mount her up a counterattack. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. Stay tuned for game 2 in this 5-game matchup between RiseN and Roz.